We achieved our goal, and our goal is to make sure that we get a fair deal. Not a one-sided Donald Trump deal, but a fair deal for the people of Ontario and Canada. And I'm focused on auto. There's no mention of auto anywhere. We've seen what's happening. I'm fighting for the people down in Windsor, up in Brampton, over in Oshawa, up in Cambridge, any area that has auto. It's my job to protect those people's employment. And that's what I'm doing.
Did you talk to the Prime Minister about your approach of leaving the ad on for the World Series and then pulling it today? Was he supportive of that, if so?
No, I'm not going to get into personal conversations that we had. He knew I was running it. I said it very clearly to everyone. I'm going to pause it on Monday, which we have. We have achieved our goal, and now let's get back to the table and sit down and have that conversation on how we're going to protect auto jobs here in Ontario. Well, again, if it wasn't the ad, he'd look out the door or the window, President Trump, and say, oh, the leaves have turned color. Let's stop. Believe me, President Trump is not putting a deal together to benefit Canada. It's our job, it's the Prime Minister's job to get a deal that benefits all of Canada. Do you know why President Trump's so upset right now? Because it was effective. It was working. It woke up the whole country. There isn't probably, unless you're living underneath a rock down there, probably there isn't one American that hasn't viewed it on social media or on television. And the whole world saw it on the World Series. They saw it on the NFL games last night. So we've achieved our goal to make sure that conversation starts with the American people and with their elected officials. And my goodness, it started all right. Folks, big plan, highway to the moon. Buck a beer up there.
Doug, you're not invited? Moon Highway? You and Christia chugging Crown and Coke again?
Sober since 2019. Worse than tequila nightmares.
Joining me now is Ontario Premier Doug Ford. Thank you so much for being here at this critical time. You've said that you don't regret running the ad. If so, why did you agree to stop running that ad if you don't regret it?
Well, I mean, first of all, thank you for having me on. I start every interview saying that I love Americans. I spent 20 years of my life. Canadians love Americans, and I know Americans love Canadians. My intention of running that ad is to inform the American people and get a conversation going on how harmful these tariffs are. And protectionism does not work. And who better to say it than the greatest president ever, in my opinion, Ronald Reagan. And it was very clear that Ronald Reagan was a free trader. He worked well with our former Prime Minister Brian Mulroney, a friend of mine that's no longer with us. But it created more jobs in the U.S., created more opportunities in Canada when you have free trade.
I understand the mission behind the ad, but I wonder, what's your message now to Canadians who will now have to pay an even steeper financial price as a result of this ad?
Well, my comments to the American people are a tariff on Canada is a tax on Americans. And I've been saying that from day one, and we've seen it. President Trump ran on increasing jobs, and right now we've seen manufacturing decline 5 months in a row, over 78,000 job losses in manufacturing. We see inflation going up. So what he's doing is total opposite of what he ran on because of these tariffs. You want to fix the problem, you want to fix inflation, create more jobs, make a deal with Canada. We're your #1 customer. We buy more goods off the U.S. than any country in the entire world. Ontario alone is #1 to 15 states, #1 trading partner to 15 states, #2 to 12 others. So, we do everything we can to make sure we continue creating opportunities and jobs for Americans and Canadians.
Yeah. And you talked about your fondness for President Reagan. The Reagan Foundation says that the ad that you ran misrepresents President Reagan's radio address. Do you disagree with the Reagan Foundation?
100%. We checked with our U.S. lawyers before we ran it. Anything in public domain is open to the public, and that's exactly, those were Ronald Reagan's words. We didn't fix it. We didn't do AI. Those are Ronald Reagan's words, and I'm sure Ronald Reagan right now is spinning around in his grave thinking the turmoil that President Trump has created, not just between Canada and the U.S., the two closest allies in the world, but around the world as well. There's no reason for this. We can be stronger and wealthier and richer if we all work together. And that's why I believe in something called the AMCAN Fortress, the American-Canadian Fortress. We've been close as allies and friends for 200 years and trading partners. So let's continue. We're your friends, not your enemies. And President Trump is treating us like enemies right now.
And I hear you saying that America and Canada should be friends, but you also, of course, have a lot of power over trade in Ontario in this moment. Are you prepared to take any retaliatory trade actions against the U.S., given what President Trump is saying he's going to do?
Well, I want to create a deal. We're the largest purchaser of alcohol in the world. I know Kentucky bourbon relies on us. A lot of companies in Texas and Florida, and especially California wines. We're the largest purchaser off all the liquor companies down in the U.S. And I want to bring it back on the shelves. But until we get a free and fair trade deal, then they're staying off the shelves. 9 million Americans wake up every morning just for Ontario alone to create a widget, a product, or a service. And unfortunately, as this trade war goes on, that's going to decline because we're onshoring every product that we can now and not relying on our great American friends. And once we onshore it, it's not coming back. That's the problem when you have protectionism that does not work, it's never worked, never will work in the world.
I also want to ask you, you've agreed to pause the ad right now. I wonder,
Yes.
What was your intended impact, and do you think you've achieved it?
Well, I think we achieved our goals overwhelmingly. We just did an analysis over 11.4 billion with a B impressions, the media talks about, or views around the world. Those are staggering numbers. I've never seen numbers like that in my entire lifetime. 11.4 billion views around the world. So it's not just Canadians and Americans looking at it. It's every other country that's facing the same issue with President Trump. People love America. Again, I love America more than anything in the world. And I want them to prosper. I want Canada to prosper. And we can do it. Let's just get a deal done that's beneficial to both countries.
I have to ask you about the internal politics in your own country. Do you worry that your actions in this ad may have undermined Prime Minister Carney's authority?
Not at all. I work closely with the Prime Minister. Ontario is the engine of Canada. We have 16.5 million people, and I work with him day in and day out. He saw the ad before I ran it. His team saw the ad before I ran it. And what we want to do is make sure that the American people are talking about it. And my goodness, are they ever talking about it? I've never seen anything like it. But again, it holds President Trump's feet to the fire and making sure that we get a deal as soon as possible. I find it ironic that he's over in China cutting a deal, but he's not cutting a deal with his closest friends and allies. We have more rare earth minerals than anyone in the world. We have them here in Ontario, across Canada, and meanwhile, China is dangling that over his head when you have your closest friend saying, yeah, let's ship more critical minerals, more energy, more oil, more uranium, more potash, more high-grade nickel down to our friends in the U.S.
Have you communicated that?
I've communicated almost every single day, and I'm down there, I'm speaking to
about minerals and all that.
Absolutely, I have. I've talked to governors every day. I've talked to senators every day on both sides of the aisle, and congressmen and women every single day. Yeah. They know we are a critical mineral powerhouse around the world, but we also send down energy. We keep lights on at 1.5 million homes, just Ontario alone, in New York, in Minnesota, in Michigan. Yeah. And by the way, there's 3 great governors there. I know them personally. They're great governors.
Really quickly, did the Prime Minister ask you to take down the ad, or did you offer, since you said that the Prime Minister saw it before it went up?
Well, I made a good, and I mentioned to the Prime Minister, we've achieved our goal, and I'm taking it down on Monday. Okay. And that's exactly what we did. So we paused it, and I say pause, and we'll see how we go. Move forward. But isn't it ironic that when the president saw the ad, he thought it was a good ad, and he said, if I was Canada, I'd run the same ad. And then someone whispered in his ear. He woke up in the morning, and he wasn't too happy.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Ontario Premier Doug Ford. I appreciate you coming on.
Thank you. I look forward to having you to Toronto one day. Thanks, Yamish.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Are at stake.
Canadian has a stakeholder, is a stakeholder in the evolution of our relationship with China and the discussions that we will be having at APEC with giants there.
As a European, I am a European,
European.
actually.
Oh, you are?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
oh.
I'm an Irish citizen. Yeah, so there you
welcome.
go.
Welcome.
Speaking as a European.
WTF.
Here, here. How many kids did you molest with Jeffrey Epstein?
More than just elbows.
And as the most European of the non-European countries.
Being aware of what potential conflicts of interest you
What
sought
possible
to avoid.
conflict would you have, Stephanie? Stephanie, I'm complying with the rules. I'm complying with the rules in advance. Come on, now.
These are Muslim values. These are Canadian values.
Hi, everyone. Congratulations, you're spending more money on taxes than on food, clothing, and shelter combined.
Hey, that's something everyone can enjoy.
All right, gang, thank you all very much for watching. Aaron, Canadian Looney, like, share, subscribe. Smash that subscribe. We're trying to grow this thing. Canadian Federal Politics. Get yours right here. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you in the next video.